Phil.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, all this week, during this hour of Markets Now, we are focusing on America's shale boom. We're taking an in-depth look at the surge in oil and natural gas production. Fracking is huge in certain parts of the country, and it is transforming our economy. For instance, thanks to the Bakken shale, North Dakota's GDP growth now tops the nation for the second straight year. The greater Houston area has replaced New York City as the largest exporting region in the country because of the energy boom in Texas. And who better to kick off our series than legendary energy investor himself, Boone Pickens, chairman and CEO of BP Capital. Boone, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, it's very frustrating, isn't it? We look at these prices. We have some of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, energy in the world, and yet we still let OPEC dictate how much we pay at the pumps.
Well, OPEC is a swing producer, and they're producing 30 million barrels of oil a day out of 90 million, so they have a third of the production. That'll do it. If you want to keep the price up, just drop the supply, which is exactly what the Saudis have done. They dropped 800,000 barrels a day in a 6-month period, and that'll keep the price up. But they have to keep the price up because of social commitments to the people in their country. The Saudis have 27 million people, and about 70% of them are unemployed. Well, over half of them are unemployed. 70% of them are 30 years or younger. So they have to be paying those people to keep them quiet and just, keep the royal family in power. So it's not hard to see how to, to manipulate the oil price. The interesting part is we have the Fifth Fleet in the Persian Gulf.
Straits of Hormuz, yes.
That's right, and it is protecting the cartel because there's 17 million barrels moving through there today. We get 1.7 million of it, which is 10%, and the rest of it goes to China and to Europe and around the world. But we protect the 17 million barrels every day, so we're protecting the cartel.
Which is insane, isn't it? Now, more than 5 years ago, of course, you unveiled the Pickens plan, about the only energy plan of any note out there, I think, and it was basically pretty simple. Cut our dependence on foreign oil and convert trucks and other areas of industry from gasoline and convert them to natural gas. Seems simple. How far have you come in 5 years in getting this concept out there?
Well, first, I didn't say get off of foreign oil. What I said is get off of OPEC oil. So break it down. We use about 18 million barrels a day, produce about half of it, and import half of it. The oil that we get from Canada and Mexico is pretty close to 4.5 million barrels, and the rest of it comes from OPEC. We don't have to have the OPEC. That's a place to get out of it. But put together now, show some leadership in Washington, put together a North American Energy Alliance, and then use the Canadian crude, the Mexican crude, and fill ours out with theirs, and then you've got a real deal going because it gives you all the security you could ever want, and you don't need the OPEC crude.
Let's talk about fracking and getting this natural gas. The environmentalists will tell you that it pollutes the water, it even creates earthquakes. How do you respond to that? Is this just an effort to slow down what is essentially what this country needs to get onto cheaper, more fuel-efficient energy source?
Well, you're fracking the wells. We fracked over 800,000 wells in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, New Mexico, Louisiana. So the fracking has been perfected and is not damaging anything. I personally have fracked over 2,000 wells myself, and I've never damaged an aquifer or anything with a frack job. Sometimes I didn't get as much oil out of the well as I wanted, but I didn't damage anything. And it's just I think more than anything else that this is a crowd that is raising money, and if they can beat the drum and talk loud enough and say a lot of things real fast without anybody checking or getting an expert on the scene, then they can raise some money. That's to me is what it's all about.
How long will it take to create the infrastructure, Boone, for natural gas fill-up stations, much like we see gas stations everywhere? Do you envision fill-up stations for natural gas all across the country, and how far away are we from that?
Well, talk about the heavy-duty trucks first, the 18-wheelers. And there are about 8 million of them in the class 5 through 8 is the way they're identified. Go that way. Also go to the trash trucks and the metro systems. But those are pretty well in place. That you look at Clean Energy and Pilot Flying J are building what they call the natural gas highway. And they have over 100 of stations on the interstates now. And a lot of those are mothballed, waiting on the trucks to show up. The trucks have been a little slow because they needed a 12-liter engine. And Cummins and others are coming up with that engine very fast. It's in mass production now. And so you're okay. Don't confuse truck stops with filling stations.
Right.
Filling stations are for passenger cars. Truck stops are for trucks.
Boone, is it frustrating to you that since you came out with your plan, it appears that, China and Russia have really embraced this technology more than we have in the U.S., especially Russia?
You're exactly right. In the Wall Street Journal a year or two ago said the Pickens plan didn't sell in Washington, but it did in China and Russia. And so you're exactly right. We have more natural gas than any place in the world. Let me give you a shocking comparison. 13 million vehicles in the world today are on natural gas. We have about 150,000 of them in the United States. And we have more natural gas than any other country in the world. We have more than Russia, Iran. We're number one. And it's just amazing, but you've kind of missed on leadership.
Yeah.
If you had the leadership that fully understood, appreciated the resource, it's 30% cleaner than diesel. It's cheaper by $2 a gallon. So here you are with cheaper, abundant, cleaner energy in America. You'd think you'd move to it rapidly. If you did the 8 million 18-wheelers on natural gas, that would cut the OPEC crude by 75%.
I got 10 seconds, Boone. Does the Keystone pipeline get done anytime soon?
It has to get done. That's 250 billion barrels of oil. That's what the Saudis claim they have, and we got the Fifth Fleet over there protecting that, and we only get 1,700,000 barrels. And in Canada, they want to sell it to us. We don't need the Fifth Fleet. We don't need any military. All we need is, yes, bring the oil into the United States. Keystone Pipeline must be built.
Boone Pickens, keep fighting the good fight. We appreciate your time with us today
Sure.
at BP Capital. Thanks so much, Boone.